What's going on, family? Thank y'all for joining me on another episode of Abandoned Voices. Joining me today, the lovely Miss Kimberly Novod?
Novod.
Yeah. Y'all know I can't talk. But anyway, Miss Kimberly is the founder of a foundation called Saul's Light.
Right.
And so, you know what? Let me not tell you a story. I'm gonna mess it up. So how you doing, Miss Kim?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, thank you for allowing me some of your super busy, precious time.
I'm actually really glad to finally be in this car.
Yeah, we been back and forth talking for about a month now, right?
Yes,
yeah,
that's
so,
right. Over a month, trying to make it work between our schedules.
Yeah, she's super busy. Y'all know I ain't got nothing to do. So what's going on with Miss Kim? So what's going on with Saul's Light?
Yeah, so, okay, let me tell you about Saul's Light. It's an organization that I started about 3 years ago to help families with babies that are in the neonatal ICU unit at Children's Hospital and also East Jeff Hospital. And so we are working with NICU families, as they are called, to
the who family? NICU?
NICU, yeah. So NICU is the abbreviation for neonatal intensive care unit.
I was lost.
Yeah.
All right.
So neonatal ICU, and we're working with them at 2 local hospitals, and we're hoping to grow in the future to serve more families at more hospitals. And we're also working with bereaved families, that is families that have lost their babies, so that have experienced the death of a child. And what our foundation does is we provide non-medical financial assistance to these families to be able to alleviate the barriers to them visiting their child in the hospital. So that could be travel, that could be lodging, they need a place to stay, they need a way to get there, food, you know, what are they going to eat while they're there visiting their babies? Because many of the families, when they're visiting their babies, they're at the hospital for 10 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours a day. And so what we try to do is eliminate the barriers that's going to prevent that family from being able to be there for their child. Because, you know, when you have a baby in the NICU, life still gets in the way. You know, for a family, it feels like your world stops when your baby is hospitalized. But the truth is, it doesn't. You still have to pay bills. You still have to go to work. You still have to take care of your other children, you know, and live your life. And so what we want to do is make sure that families can be there for their babies, because it's been proven that when parents are a part of their child's care in the NICU, their children do better. So what we want to do is make sure that the parents get there and can sit with their baby's bedside.
So how do kids actually go to the NICU? Like how you actually get put into the NICU? What's the causes that get you put to the NICU?
Right. So there are many causes, reasons why a baby would go to the NICU. Different health reasons, right? So for me, for example, my son Saul, which is the namesake of the foundation, was born premature. That is a very big reason why babies end up in the NICU, because of premature birth. There can be other reasons. There can be, you know, heart defects, for example. There can also be something such as a baby has jaundice, you know, so it's not always a dire situation that a baby ends up in the NICU. Sometimes a baby can just need monitoring, but many times the NICU stays are they're very difficult stays because the baby is very sick. And those NICU stays can be very long. They can be unexpected, and they can be very difficult, you know, very expensive, because you don't really know how long you're going to be in the NICU. You know, most of the time NICU stays are very unexpected, as was the case with me and my son.
So about your son, I know it's a sensitive subject, so you can stop me at any time. How did you handle that? And how did that work out?
So, with my son, he was born premature. He was about 10 weeks premature. And it happened very unexpectedly. It was a surprise that he made an early entrance when he did. But I had with him a very healthy pregnancy, what we call a textbook pregnancy. Everything that you read about, you expect to happen. There was really no cause for concern. And then I went into labor.
So you went in like early?
Yes, I went into preterm labor. And this is something that is actually affecting quite a lot of women in our state in particular. You know, the March of Dimes grades Louisiana as a grade F in terms of preventing preterm labor. And not only that, the number is significantly higher for Black Americans.
My last kid was premature.
Really?
Yeah.
So Black women in particular probably have a preterm birth rate that is 50% higher than any other women. And it's something that we really don't talk about, but we should. Because when mothers are expecting, you know, you get this idea that I'm pregnant and I'm going to have a baby and everything is going to be fine.
Be fine, exactly.
It's just what you expect. It's the fantasy, you know. You never think I might go into preterm labor, or I might have this baby early, or even worse, something's going to happen to my baby might not survive. So I was the same way. I thought, so I'm pregnant, now I'm going to have a baby, and it's going to be great, and we're going to live our lives, right? But with my son, I experienced the preterm labor, and when I tell you my world came crashing down, it was very unexpected, like I said. And initially when I had him, he did very well, and he was very big and healthy for his gestational age. So initially we got a good diagnosis from the doctors, and they said, you know, he's really big. He was about 2.5 pounds for 29 weeks, which is big. Some babies are about a pound at that gestational age. And so they gave us the rate of him being, about 90% okay. There was going to be a 90% chance that he was going to survive this, and we would get to take him home, right? So we knew that when we had him, it would be an uphill battle, that he would require a stay in the NICU, that we would be there, for the long haul, maybe a month or two, we thought. And then we thought everything would be okay. But that was not the case. Just a few days after I had him, his vital signs crashed. And so what they were able to find is that he experienced a brain bleed or a hemorrhage, which is something that can occur often in premature babies. So it's not like an odd ordeal to happen with a preterm baby. But what happened with him is that he had this brain bleed, and it was a large grade brain bleed, and it didn't get better. So in a lot of preemie babies that experience this, it can get better because they're babies, and they're constantly repairing themselves, and they can recover from things like that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, my son did not recover from that. And so that was for not only me, my husband, but for our families. It was a very trying experience. It was a very traumatic experience. And my son lived for just under a month. And so for days, for weeks, we were in the NICU at Children's Hospital, and we were there. We were the people that were there for 12-hour days, 15-hour days, just being there, trying to be his parents, trying to mother him as best I could.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
I definitely understand what you mean, because also, like you said, real life goes on.
yeah,
But who could deal with real life when something like this is taking
Right.
place?
right. And it's, you know, it's like going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You you know, it's dark in there. It's incredibly scary in there. It's and you feel guilt as a parent, as a mother. You feel guilt because you know you have children. Your number one job as a parent, right, is to protect your children. And so you feel like you didn't protect your child, that you didn't do your job. So on top of the emotional, you know, the stress that comes with it, you feel a great sense of responsibility, a great sense of guilt that you didn't do your job.
And
Right.
this was all like 3 years ago, right?
Yes, this
3 years
was
ago.
3 years ago. And so, you know, during the NICU stays, we tried to basically, you know, do what we could. We were still holding on to hope that he would recover. We wanted to be active in his care. We were able to hold him, to bathe him, to dress him, to read to him. You know, the things that you would normally do with your baby when you bring them home, just under a different circumstance. And luckily we were able to do that. We were able to dedicate the time to be there with him for those long days, 12-hour days, 15-hour days. You know, we were basically just going home to shower and to go back the next day and do it again. And so when we were there, we realized that a lot of families who were in that same position that needed to be there for their children couldn't be there for their children for various reasons. You know, they couldn't take the time off work. They needed to go to work so that they could pay their bills. They couldn't bring their older children in the NICU because it's a place where they try to limit the amount of germs that are there all the time. And so we felt incredibly grateful to be able to be there for our son and to be in the position that we were in, but also at the same time recognizing that that wasn't the reality for a lot of people. So when we did, you know, eventually leave the NICU because my son passed, we left the NICU. It was very, very difficult to process the experience. And you know, one of the ways that we went about healing was to start Saul's Light Foundation. So we thought back to our time and we thought, you know, it's a difficult experience. We weren't the first people to go through the NICU. We won't be the last people to go to the NICU. And we can prevent this, right? It's not something that we personally can stop from happening. You know, if I could, I would stop every mother from experiencing not only the NICU, but the death of their child. But we can't. And so we thought, what can we do? And that's when we came up with the idea of creating this foundation in Saul's name as a way to allow him to
live on.
To live on, exactly. To live on.
I think it's pretty awesome. Even the name of it, Saul's Light, is, you know. So how long did you guys like create the foundation after the passing of your son?
So we created the foundation probably about a year after he passed, because, you know, that's really how long it took to kind of harness the energies, to reach out to people to help us get going with it. But also it took at least that amount of time to do some healing. So another one of the services that we provide for people is, references and support to get parents and especially moms into mental health services or support groups, because it's one of the things that I truly benefited from.
Talking to other people about it.
Yes,
People who've been the same experiences.
Yes, absolutely. And there's this new research and statistics going about that is saying that about 40% of people that go through the NICU experience have PTSD. They end up with PTSD, which is an anxiety disorder that causes you to kind of relive a traumatic experience. And I was diagnosed with PTSD as a result of my experience in the NICU and also losing my son. And so we know how incredibly harrowing it can be for families to go through something like that and then not have anywhere to turn. So we want to support them, in getting to a better space.
Right, have somebody to talk to with the same or similar experience.
Exactly. And so, we're trying to reach out to NICU families and bereaved families to kind of use Saul's life and his light, if you will, to shine a light for those families, because when you're in a cycle of grief, it can be very isolating, and you don't know really where to turn, and you don't think that you will make it. One of the hardest things for any parent to do is to outlive their child. It's something that you never anticipate.
You guys have any other kids?
We do. So I have an 8-month-old now, and she is what we call, in this community, a rainbow baby. So a rainbow baby is a baby that is born after the loss of another child or the loss of another pregnancy. And so the saying goes that a rainbow doesn't negate the storm, right? So you went through a stormy period, and then now you have this promise, if you will, that life can be and will be beautiful again. So it doesn't erase the experience that you went through, but what it can kind of do is, I guess, give you more hope and trust in the universe.
And this baby's a girl?
Yes, she's a girl. So Saul is a big brother.
Yeah, a big brother.
He's a big brother, and still, actively a part of our lives. And I feel like with the foundation, I'm getting a chance to mother him, if you will. I'm looking at this, the foundation as my baby.
It's a baby.
Yeah, and it's Saul's legacy. So it's one way that I can continue to mother him, and to be able to, bear witness to his life, and for him to consistently be a part of our lives, so that people know that we had a son, he lived, he mattered, his life mattered, and he's always with us, he's always with me, so I tell people all the time, you don't see, 2 children, but I am the mother of 2 children. I'm still his mom, exactly, just as much as I am Josephine, his baby sister.
Josephine?
Yeah.
Josephine is Saul, huh?
Yeah. And she looks just like her big brother. So she reminds us very much of him. And she's like a breath of fresh air. Also, she also reminds us to be present in our lives. to savor every moment and, to enjoy each day, because it's not promised. We all know that technically. It's like, at the back of our heads, we know this life is not promised. We can't be certain of it. But when you experience a death that's close to you, it's kind of a reminder for you to live life to the fullest and to do what you can to be kind to other people, to spread that. I really do, after going through everything that we've been through, I really do think that the point of life is for us to take care of each other and to be kind.
You have a different outlook on life.
Exactly.
That's very understandable. Sometimes you never know what it takes to make people see things differently.
Exactly.
So for the foundation, is you have any other families that was going through it? And
yeah, so we've actually helped a number of families.
Oh, there you go.
Locally, and again, we're providing assistance to them. We're providing referrals to mental health services. So we're doing special projects as well. We recently had a yoga workshop for bereaved mothers. So for, mothers who have lost a child to come together and support each other. And, we've had a great response from our community supporting the organization and supporting the work. We are doing, other projects like donating a mechanism called the Cuddle Cot, which allows...
I saw it online, the little kinky bed type of thing.
That's right. So it's a mechanism that when a family has experienced the death of a child, it allows them to spend more time with that child before they have to say goodbye. And so, when you experience the death of a child, one thing that you don't realize when you're in the midst of that storm is that you are making memories that are gonna have to last you a lifetime. And so before that opportunity is over, what you can do is spend more time with your child, maybe have pictures taken of your child, to dress your child, just to be with them, basically.
So most parents, most families, once their kid make it to, unfortunately go to the NICU unit, it's likely chances that it's like a 50-50 chance, or you're not really sure?
So, it depends on really what a child is going to the NICU for. But for the most part, NICU stories end up very well.
Oh, okay.
So I know people that have had what they call micro preemies, and their babies are going to the NICU weighing just 1 pound, and then their babies come out of the NICU healthy and unscathed from their experience. They go on to live normal childhoods. And then there's a percentage of people that have the other experience. And so that's why we try to reach families in those two scenarios. So most babies will go through the NICU and fine. It will be a difficult experience for the families to go through. But more than likely, with today's technology and the knowledge of the doctors and the nurses, which are phenomenal in every NICU in the city, by the way, your child is going to come out of it. And then, you'll be able to show everybody what a miracle looks like, to have a life go from being hanging in the balance to being okay, But then in the event that it goes the other way, we want to support families through that as well. So we don't want to, make people sad about the experience of the NICU. But we also don't want to give people false hope about the experience of the NICU. We just know that there are two realities present. One, that your baby is going to do fine. And then the other is perhaps your baby won't. But we want to be there in both instances to support families along that journey, whether it's the journey to a healthy baby that is discharged from the NICU, that is going home, or if a family experiences, the loss of their child. What we want to do is to be able to envelop them in support as they need it, by providing these services, whether it's, again, mental health services, whether it's support groups, whether it's providing financial assistance, or, providing these special projects that we are working on with the hospitals to reach families.
Well, even in your experience, it's still a positive experience because it led you to create this foundation that's helping hundreds of people. So it's like Saul's still helping a lot of people. So it's kind of like he's spreading his love all over.
Yes, he is.
It's not like it's well, I know you don't see it as a bad thing, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it inspired you to start what you guys got going on.
Yeah.
That help other families, because sometimes these situations could cause people to go insane.
Yeah.
But thanks to Saul's Light, they have somebody to talk to. They
Yeah.
have somebody to lean on, somebody who's been through it, like really been through a personal experience, not just somebody just speaking from a distance or speaking of somebody else's experience.
Right.
So
It's really, what, that's just it, right? That's really what we want to do, is to just say, don't give up. Whatever happens, you are not alone.
So for us getting like money for it, you take donations or?
Yeah, so we are, a small nonprofit. We are strictly grassroots organization. And all of the support that we have been able to provide to families have been through the donations of people in our community.
Okay. So how can people donate? Go to Saul's Light, the webpage?
Yeah, absolutely. So people can go to our website, which is www.saulslight.org, or they can donate to us on our Facebook page, which is Saul's Light Foundation. And it is because the kindness of strangers that we are able to, make a difference in the lives of NICU families like we do. We could not do this without people supporting us. And so, we know how important it is to have a community behind you, the village, if you will, to support you. And so that's really what we want to do is to mobilize our village, and to make sure that families are being held up in any situation, that they know where to turn. And like you said, it's something to go through something like this. Many families will go through it. But you can't give up. You can't let it knock you down, and it will knock you down for a little while. It will.
I can only imagine.
That's inevitable.
So right now you guys in 2 hospitals, you said?
Yeah, we're in 2 hospitals right now.
Children's.
Well,
my son spent a lot of time due to asthma.
Really?
He's a teenager, but he still every now and then have asthma problems.
Yeah, so Children's Hospital and East Jefferson Hospital. So Saul was born at East Jefferson, and he was airlifted to Children's Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why we started there, as a way to honor those facilities that put in the time and care for him.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so like you said, Saul lives on. We are allowing his light to continue to shine through this organization. If we have helped so many people, and it's very gratifying to be able to support families like we do. But I'm sure any mother who has lost a child and was able to turn it into good will tell you, if we could have just 5 more minutes with our child, we'd give it all back. But since that's not in the cards, hope so. We hope so. We have no intention to stop. Our goal is to expand our services, to expand our outreach, and to be that light in a dark tunnel for families, to know that they're not alone.
So people basically go to your web page or your Facebook page to donate. And what if a family was going through it, and you also had like another hospital? There's no way for them to reach out to you, or it would have to be at one of those two hospitals.
So right now, access the particular support that we're offering to the families, it would be at those two hospitals. But we do work with families on a one-to-one basis through the foundation. So until we are, in more hospitals, we will absolutely work with individual families that reach out to us. So if, a lot of times people hear about us word of mouth, from something that we've done on the news or with the newspaper, and then families will reach out that way. And we have good working relationships with families that way as well. And that's something that we'll continue to do, to make sure that we can reach as many people as possible.
That's pretty cool. So it's an open door policy. Huh? Nobody gets turned away. Huh?
It's an open door policy. Nobody gets turned away, because we know that the NICU experience or the grief journey, it doesn't end. It's something that stays with you.
You just basically learn how to deal with it.
You learn how to deal with it. That's what it is. Especially if you're one of those people that is suffering the effects of going through the NICU, like experiencing anxiety and experiencing PTSD. And then, of course, if you lose your child,
so that would have been your first kid, right?
That would have been my first kid, yeah.
Well, not would
my
have
first
been.
son.
That is your
Yeah.
first kid, but so that made the experience a little bit harder, correct?
I think so. And I think
so that made your second pregnancy kind of on edge.
To say the least.
Yeah, the heart
was
beating.
on edge.
The heart beating, Cousin Brown said it's supposed to beat.
Absolutely.
Anything go wrong, But I totally understand it, because that would make you, like extra cautious about everything.
Oh my gosh, was I on edge?
Every time you sneeze, you had to check yourself, huh?
Oh my gosh. It made, the pregnancy with my daughter very, very terrifying. And that's just my nerves, that was just my anxiety, because my pregnancy with my daughter was similar to Saul's the pregnancy with Saul, which I guess is probably why it was terrifying, right? Because everything was going good. It was a healthy pregnancy, again, textbook pregnancy. But because of my experience with Saul, there were, some precautions that we had to take. But for the most part, it really was a smooth pregnancy. But the only thing that made it difficult was my nerves.
Well, that's kind of very understandable, because of what happened. But
absolutely, I mean, every single day, I guess that's it. That's what you learn. It forces you to take it day by day. I was afraid to make plans. I was afraid to have a baby shower. I was afraid. You can take that in so many directions. And I guess what I had to learn, and is what women who are going through the same thing will learn, is that you cannot be afraid to love, because really that's what's at the root of it all, right? This intense grief and pain is because of an intense love that you lost. And so what happens is that you're afraid to love again, because
you don't want to get heartbroken
that's
again.
it. You're afraid to lose. right? So what I had to learn, you know, with my daughter is that yes, everything is out of my control. I cannot, you know, determine how long she lives, how long she's gonna be with me. I can't, you know, even now. It's not up to me. Life is not up to me. You know, if I could protect her from everything, I would. But I can't. But what it showed me is that it doesn't mean that it's not worth it. That loving is not worth it. That living is not worth it. You have to take a chance. We're, you know, every day we're alive. We're taking a chance. But what is life without love? You know, so
Nothing.
right.
Nothing but hate.
Right, you know. And so it felt like the greatest gamble in the world to be pregnant again and to try to take this, you know, next foray into motherhood. But I can tell you when I got the first time I held my daughter, you know, which is something that probably took me 3 weeks to do with Saul. I didn't hold him, you know, for a long time, and that's devastating for a mother. But
Did you hold him by choice or because of he was in the little incubator?
yes, because he was in the incubator with you know, tubes and wires and machines and whatnot. So when I held my daughter for the first time, after going through that experience, it made it so much sweeter and so much more
Relaxing and like
yes.
like this is real now.
Yes. Oh, and
the worry
did
is
I
over.
cry?
The worry is over.
Yes. And but let me tell you, and I'm sure you know because you have children, the worry has just begun. It's a whole nother worry, you know.
Exactly.
But it was such a relief to hold her, and it made, you know, those 9 months of anxiousness and panic all worth it. Because here she was healthy, she was in my arms, and I got another chance.
That changed their life.
I got another chance at life.
Even the first one is still amazing. Because think about it, you know, God works in mysterious ways, and it's helping a bunch of people who probably would haven't got that help.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that even though my son died, I have no doubt that his birth and his life was no less miraculous than my daughter. Right? My therapist told me one time about this idea of a soul contract. And so this idea is that, you know, sometime, you know, long ago, far away, his soul and my soul met and decided that he would be my son and I would be his mother. It was inevitable. We are tied to each other. So he had to live. And I had to bring him to life. No matter how long that life was going to be. But he had to exist. And I had to be his mother. You know? So his life was going to be what it was. And so what I decided to do after that was on me. You know, I could have went into despair, which I did, you know, for a long time. But I couldn't stay there.
Unhelped spot.
Right. I had to allow his life to continue to unfold in the way that it was destined to unfold. So I couldn't save him. I couldn't prolong his life. But what I could do was to help him to continue to live in another way.
Mm-hmm.
And as his mother, of course, that's what I'm going to do. To protect his life still. He's not living, but his life lives on. And his light still shines. And so what I have to do is to help that along.
Mm-hmm.
As his mom. And I take that job very seriously. I'm still his protector.
Yeah, you is. And now that like a piece of him and also a piece of you is implanted into everybody that comes along through the organization that helps.
Yes.
You know, because let's say sometimes you never know, and I know a few people personally who lost kids, and I just the more you said, I think about, you know, what they went through, and by me knowing personally, it's like, wow, like they really, you know, really just kind of need somebody to talk to. There's only so much a person could tell you, but when somebody actually experiences it, it's different. It's a different conversation. It's a different feeling. It's a different. I understand what you mean.
Right.
You know, you have to look almost like lose